Okay, so think about this for a sec. You know how much emphasis there is now on making cars lighter, right? For fuel efficiency and all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's actually impacting something we all probably take for granted every single day, our car windows.
That's a really interesting point.
Like, seriously, have you ever stopped to think about the windows?
Not really. Yeah, I mean, they're just kind of there, right?
Exactly, but with this whole push for lighter, more fuel efficient, and of course, electric vehicle.
EVs.
Yeah, EVs, those windows are kind of becoming a big deal. And that's why today we are diving deep into the world of automotive polycarbonate glazing.
It's a fascinating area for sure. I mean, polycarbonate glazing is basically this high-tech, super strong plastic, and it's being used more and more instead of traditional glass for car windows and sunroofs. It's a pretty big shift.
It is, and we have this awesome market research report with us that really digs deep into this whole thing.
Yeah, it's got some really interesting data.
So our mission today is to break down this market for you guys listening. Where it stands now, what's driving its growth, and where it's headed in the future.
Right, and we'll try to make it as clear as possible.
Absolutely. So according to this report, the global market for automotive polycarbonate glazing is expected to hit a whopping $982.6 million in 2025.
Wow, that's a pretty big number. And the crazy part is it's projected to almost double by 2033, reaching over $1.9 billion.
Billion with a B.
That's right, with a B. Talk about a growth market.
Absolutely. That's a compound annual growth rate, or CAGR, of 8.6% from 2025 to 2033.
Which is significant, to say the least.
Totally. Now, just to give you guys some context, the report uses 2024 as its base year for all these calculations and forecasts up to 2033.
So they've taken into account historical data from 2021 through 2024.
Right, so a pretty solid analysis overall. Now, let's break it down by region, because as we all know, different parts of the world are adopting new technologies at different paces.
Definitely. So starting with North America in 2025, they're expected to hold the largest share of the market, over 37% globally.
Wow, so they're really leading the way.
Absolutely.
Right.
And their market size is estimated at $363.56 million in 2025, with a projected CAGR of 7.1% from 2025 to 2033.
I guess it makes sense considering how many major car manufacturers are based in North America.
Yeah, for sure. And within North America, the United States is unsurprisingly the biggest player. They're looking at a market size of $286.85 million in 2025 and a KGR of 6.9%.
And what's driving that growth in the U.S. specifically?
Well, a couple of things, really. One is the increasing popularity of electric vehicles, EVs, as we all know.
Yeah.
And the other is the advancements in autonomous vehicle technology.
Right, so all these new fancy cars are needing fancy new materials.
Exactly. Now, what about our neighbors to the north, Canada and Mexico?
Yeah, I was wondering about them too. Are they keeping up?
They are indeed. So Canada is projected to have a market size of $43.63 million in 2025 and a very healthy CAGR of 7.9%.
Right.
Yeah, they've got stricter fuel efficiency regulations up there and a growing preference for both luxury vehicles and EVs, all of which plays a role.
Makes sense. And Mexico?
Mexico is estimated at $33.08 million in 2025 with a CGR of 7.6%. So they're definitely not lagging behind.
So when we look at North America as a whole, what are the main factors driving their dominance in this market?
Well, a big one is the focus on reducing vehicle weight to meet those fuel efficiency and emission standards that are, becoming more and more stringent.
Right. Makes sense.
Then you have the whole EV and autonomous vehicle revolution, which needs lighter materials like polycarbonate glazing. Plus, North America has a lot of those leading auto companies, and consumers there tend to really like those premium features, like panoramic sunroofs.
Which often use polycarbonate, right?
Exactly. So all those factors together make North America a pretty prime market for this technology.
So North America's got the lead. What's the situation in Europe?
Europe is holding strong. They're expected to be the second largest market globally, with share of over 24%.
Not too shabby.
And their estimated market size is $284.95 million in 2025, with a projected CAGR of 7.6%.
So healthy growth there, too. But Europe's a pretty diverse region in terms of, car markets.
It is. Which countries are really leading the charge there?
Yeah, who's embracing polycarbonate glazing the most?
Well, the report breaks it down country by country.
Yeah.
So in 2025, the UK is estimated to be at $47.87 million, with a really strong CAGR of 8.4%.
That's impressive.
Yeah, they're doing well. Then there's Germany, the automotive powerhouse, with an estimated $56.42 million and a KGR of 7.8%.
Oh, they're up there, too.
Oh, yeah, France is a bit lower at $26.22 million with a 6.8% CAGR. Italy is similar at 24.51 million with 7% growth,
Mm.
and Russia's estimated at 44.17 million with a 6.6% CAGR.
So pretty good spread across those major economies.
Definitely. And then we have Spain at 23.37 million with 6.7% growth, Sweden at 8.83 million with a 7.7% CAGR, Denmark at 5.98 million with 7.4% growth.
And I'm guessing even the smaller countries are getting in on the action.
Oh, absolutely. Even Switzerland is at 4.27 million with a 7.4% CAGR, and Luxembourg is at 3.42 million with a 7.9% CAGR. The rest of Europe combined is estimated at $39.89 million and a CGR of 6.3%.
So it's really catching on across the board.
Yeah, it seems so.
But why is that? What's driving Europe's enthusiasm for polycarbonate glazing?
Well, much like in North America, they're very focused on reducing emissions. So lightweight
Oh.
materials are key. There's also a growing market for both electric and luxury cars, which often incorporate this kind of advanced glazing.
And don't forget all the cool smart glazing technologies that are being developed in Europe.
Oh yeah, those are a big factor too. And of
Yeah.
course, Europe is home to some of the most prestigious car manufacturers in the world, so they're always looking for ways to innovate and, stay ahead of the curve.
Speaking of innovation, let's talk about the Asia-Pacific region, or APAC, because they're projected to have the highest growth rate globally.
That's right. They're really taking off with a projected CGR of 11.4% from 2025 to 2033.
Wow, that's huge. What's their overall market share looking like?
Around 23% with a market size of $235.82 million in 2025.
So not as big as North America or Europe yet, but catching up fast.
Oh yeah, and within APAC, China is the dominant force, as you might expect.
All right.
They're projected to have a market size of $99.05 million in 2025 and a TGR of 10.9%.
So they're a major player for sure.
Absolutely. Then we have Japan with an estimated market size of $32.54 million and a 9.9% CAGR, and South Korea at $28.3 million with a 10.5% CAGR.
I'm curious about India. I feel like we hear a lot about their growing automotive market these days.
You're right on the money. India actually has the highest projected growth rate within APAC, a KGR of 13.3%,
Yeah.
and their 2025 market size is estimated at $23.58 million.
So they're really one to watch.
Definitely. And there's another significant players too. Australia's at 12.26 million with a 10.7%. CAGR Singapore's at 4.72 million with an 11.7%. CGR Taiwan's at 9.2 million with an 11.2% CAGR. And the rest of APAC is at 10.61 million with an 11.2% CAGR.
It's amazing to see such widespread growth across the entire region, but what's fueling this incredible expansion in APAC?
Well, there are several factors at play. First, the automotive industry in APAC is booming, especially in China, Japan, and as you mentioned, India.
Right, those are major manufacturing hubs now.
Exactly. And with rising disposable incomes across the region, more and more people can afford cars. So production is ramping up to meet that demand. Plus, a lot of governments in APAC are actively promoting EV adoption with various policies, and consumers are increasingly interested in cars with all the latest tech, including fancy glazing.
So it's a combination of economic growth, government support, and changing consumer preferences.
Precisely. It's a perfect storm for innovation and growth.
Now let's shift gears a bit and look at some other regions, starting with South America. What does the market look like there?
South America is a bit smaller than the giants we just talked about, but they're still seeing solid growth. Their market share is projected to be over 4%, with a size of $37.34 million in 2025 and an AGR of 9.3%.
So a decent chunk of the global market.
Definitely. And within South America, Brazil is the leader with a market size of $15.98 million in 2025 and a CAGR of 9.3%. Argentina is next at $6.27 million with a CAGR of 10.2%. Colombia is at $3.32 million with a 9.1% CAGR. Peru is at $3.06 million with a 9.5% CGR.
In Chile.
Chile's at $2.69 million with a 9.6% CGR. The rest of South America combined comes in at $6.01 million with a CGR of 8.4%.
So again, pretty consistent growth across the different countries.
It seems so.
But why is South America seeing this kind of upward trend?
Well, their automotive industry is on the rise, and there's a growing awareness of the benefits of energy-efficient vehicles. Fuel efficiency, emissions, all that good stuff. Plus, vehicle production is increasing, especially in Brazil and Argentina, and consumers are increasingly demanding improved safety and comfort features in their cars, which polycarbonate glazing can definitely help with.
So it seems like a natural progression for them to embrace this technology.
Absolutely. Now let's move on to the Middle East. They're projected to hold around 4% of the global market share with a size of $39.30 million in 2025 and a CGR of 9.9%.
Not a bad position to be in.
Not at all. And within the Middle East, Saudi Arabia is a major market with an estimated $13.84 million in 2025 and a KGR of 10.2%. The UAE is close behind with 8.10 million and a CAGR of 10.4%.
I imagine the climate in the Middle East makes sun control features especially important.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And that's where polycarbonate glazing can really shine.
Yeah.
It can help block out a lot of that intense heat.
Makes total sense. And who else is doing well in the Middle East?
Interestingly, Turkey and Qatar are tied for the highest projected CAGR in the region at 10.5% and 9.4% respectively.
Wow, a tie.
Yeah, it's pretty unusual, and both countries have an estimated market size of $3.14 million in 2025. Now we have Egypt at 2.36 million with a 9.7% CAGR, and the rest of the Middle East combined is at 8.73 million with a CAGR of 9.1%.
So it seems like the Middle East is really embracing this technology.
They are. And the demand for premium and high-performance vehicles is a big driver there, especially in places like the UAE and Saudi Arabia, where, they really love their fancy cars. Plus, the growing popularity of EVs and government initiatives promoting sustainability are also contributing to the growth.
So a lot of the same trends we've seen in other regions are playing out there too.
Definitely. Lastly, let's look at Africa. They're a bit smaller in terms of market size, but still showing a lot of potential.
What kind of numbers are we talking about?
They're projected to hold around 2.2% of the global market share with a size of $21.62 million in 2025 and a CAGR of 8.9%.
So a respectable growth rate.
Oh, yeah, it
Yeah.
is. And within Africa, South Africa is leading the pack with an estimated market size of $7.61 million in 2025 and a CGR of 9.8%. Nigeria is at 1.73 million with a KGR of 9.1%, and the rest of Africa combined comes in at 12.28 million with a KGR of 8.1%.
So it's interesting to see how even in a region with maybe some more challenges, they're still adopting this technology.
Absolutely. And it really comes down to the need for more modern vehicles in Africa and a desire for more fuel-efficient transportation. Polycarbonate glazing is both lightweight and durable, which is really important considering the often tough road conditions there. Plus, there are growing investments in the automotive sector in key African countries, which is always good for market expansion.
So it seems like there's potential for growth in every corner of the world.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting to see.
Absolutely. Now, this regional breakdown has been super helpful, but let's dive a little deeper into the technology itself. What are the different types of polycarbonate glazing we should know about?
Right, so one of the most popular and well-established types is sun control glazing.
Sun control glazing, what's that all about?
Well, as the name suggests, it helps to control the amount of sunlight and heat that enters the vehicle.
Sounds pretty useful, especially in those hot climates we were talking about.
Oh, it's essential in many parts of the world. It basically works by blocking a significant portion of infrared radiation, which is what carries most of the heat from sunlight.
So it keeps the car cooler and reduces the need for air conditioning.
Exactly. Which in turn improves fuel efficiency and reduces emissions.
Yeah.
It's a win-win situation.
So it's good for the environment and for our wallets.
Precisely. And because of those benefits, sun control glazing is being adopted across a wide range of vehicle types.
I bet it's popular in the luxury car market, too.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a premium feature that adds a lot of value.
Now, the report also mentions switchable glazing as the fastest growing segment. What's so special about that?
Switchable glazing is pretty cool. It allows you to electronically control the transparency of the windows and sunroofs.
So you can make them go from clear to tinted or even opaque.
Exactly. It's like magic.
That's awesome. I can see why people would love that. What are some of the benefits besides just looking cool?
Well, it gives you more privacy when you need it. It can help reduce glare from the sun. And it can even improve visibility in certain conditions.
So it's a safety feature, too.
It can be, for sure. And this kind of smart tech is becoming increasingly popular, especially in luxury and premium vehicles.
It fits right in with the whole connected car trend.
Exactly. It's all about creating a more comfortable, personalized, and technologically advanced driving experience.
Now let's talk about how polycarbonate glazing is actually being used in vehicles.
Mm.
What are the main applications here?
Right, so one of the most common and increasingly popular applications is for panoramic roofs and roof modules.
I love those. They make the car feel so much bigger and brighter.
Me too. They really enhance the whole passenger experience. And automakers are incorporating them more and more these days, both for the aesthetic appeal and to, meet consumer demand.
I can see why they're so popular. What about other applications besides roofs?
Well, side lights are also becoming a major area of growth.
Side light.
Yeah, those are the side windows of the car.
Oh.
And using polycarbonate for side lights is particularly beneficial in electric and luxury vehicles
Why is that?
because reducing weight is absolutely critical for EVs to maximize their range.
Yeah,
And polycarbonate is significantly lighter than traditional glass.
makes sense. Plus, it gives them more design freedom too, right?
Absolutely. They can create more complex shapes and curves with polycarbonate, which is harder to do with glass.
So it's all about pushing the boundaries of design and performance.
Exactly. And of course, using polycarbonate for side lights also contributes to the overall safety and aesthetics of the vehicle.
So it's a win-win all around. Okay, now let's talk about how these polycarbonate glazing products are actually reaching the market. What are the main sales channels here?
Right. So the biggest one right now is the OEM channel, original equipment manufacturer.
Meaning the car manufacturers themselves.
Exactly. They're integrating polycarbonate glazing right into their production lines from the very beginning.
And I imagine that's largely driven by those increasingly strict fuel efficiency and emissions regulations we talked about.
Oh, absolutely. Car manufacturers are under a lot of pressure to meet those standards, and using lightweight materials like polycarbonate is a key strategy.
It makes sense to incorporate it from the ground up.
Definitely. And doing so also allows them to ensure the highest levels of safety and quality control.
Now, what about the aftermarket? Can people get polycarbonate glazing for their cars after they've already bought them?
Oh, absolutely. The aftermarket is actually the fastest growing sales channel for polycarbonate glazing.
Really? That's interesting. Why is that?
Well, there are a couple of reasons. One is that people are becoming more aware of the benefits of advanced glazing technologies, and they're looking for ways to upgrade their existing vehicles.
So it's kind of like a retrofitting option.
Exactly. And another reason is the growing trend of vehicle customization.
Makes sense. People want their cars to be unique and express their personal style.
Precisely. And the aftermarket offers a lot of options for polycarbonate glazing with different tints, coatings, and even smart features like switchable glazing.
So it's not just about replacing damaged glass anymore.
Not at all. It's about enhancing the look, feel, and performance of your car.
Now, we've talked about the regions, the technology, the applications, the sales channels. It's a lot to take in. But let's zoom out a bit and focus on the big picture. What are the key drivers behind the overall growth of this market?
All right, so first and foremost is the global push for lightweight materials in vehicles.
Because lighter cars mean better fuel economy and lower emissions.
Precisely. And that's a huge priority for the automotive industry worldwide.
Makes sense. What else?
The rise of electric and autonomous vehicles is another major driver. Polycarbonate glazing is a perfect fit for these new types of cars because it offers the weight savings, the design flexibility, and the performance enhancements they need.
So it's like a perfect marriage of technology and market demand.
Exactly. And we can't forget about the continuous advancements in coating technologies.
Right. Those are important for making polycarbonate more durable and scratch resistant.
Absolutely. The development of new coatings has really helped to overcome some of the early concerns about using polycarbonate in automotive applications.
Now, on the flip side, are there any challenges or obstacles that could hinder the market's growth?
Yeah, there are a couple things to keep in mind. One is the higher initial production cost of polycarbonate glazing compared to traditional glass.
That's always a factor with new technologies.
It is. And the manufacturing processes can also be more complex, which can impact pricing as well.
So there are some cost considerations there.
Definitely. And while coatings have come a long way, the inherent scratch resistance of polycarbonate without those special coatings can still be a concern for some.
So durability is still a factor.
It is. But as technology continues to advance, I think we'll see even more durable and scratch-resistant polycarbonate glazing options become available.
So the future looks bright.
I think so.
Now, looking ahead, what are some of the trends that will shape the future of this market?
Well, one major trend is the increasing integration of smart glazing technologies like switchable and sun control glazing.
That makes sense. We talk about how popular those features are becoming.
Exactly. And they're only going to become more sophisticated and widespread in the years to come.
So our car windows will be doing more than just letting in light.
Oh, definitely. They'll be adjusting to our preferences, enhancing our comfort, and even contributing to the overall efficiency of our vehicle.
Can't wait to see what they come up with next.
Me neither. And another trend we're seeing is the growing use of polycarbonate glazing in those large panoramic sunroofs and expansive windows that are so popular these days.
It makes sense. Polycarbonate's lightweight properties and design flexibility make it ideal for those applications.
Absolutely. And as those design trends continue, I think we'll see even more creative and innovative uses of polycarbonate glazing in vehicles.
So it's not just a functional material, it's becoming a design element too.
Precisely. Now, the report also briefly touched on the competitive landscape in this market. What can you tell us about the key players?
Yeah, what's the lay of the land?
Well, it's a pretty competitive market with both global and regional companies vying for a share.
So a mix of big names and up-and-comers.
Exactly. And the focus across the board is on developing those lightweight, high-performance, and smart glazing solutions we've been talking about.
So they're all trying to outdo each other with innovation?
In a way, yes. But ultimately, it's good for consumers because it drives progress and brings down costs.
I guess competition is a good thing.
It usually is. And speaking of innovation, the report highlighted a couple of recent developments that are worth mentioning.
Oh, like what?
Well, there's SABIC, a global leader in chemicals. They announced a new lightweight polycarbonate material called LXAN, specifically designed for panoramic sunroofs, back in February 2024.
So they're really targeting that growing market segment.
Definitely. And then there's Taijin, another major player. They launched a brand new production line for polycarbonate resin, specifically for automotive interior applications back in June 2024.
Wow. So they're ramping up production to meet the growing demand.
It seems so. And these are just a couple of examples. There's constant innovation happening in this field.
It's an exciting time to be following this technology.
It really is.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today. We've talked about regional trends, technological advancements, applications, sales channels, market drivers, and even the competitive landscape. What are the key takeaways for our listeners?
Well, the biggest takeaway is that the market for automotive polycarbonate glazing is booming, and it's only going to get bigger in the coming years.
So it's something to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. It's a game changer in the automotive industry, and it's driven by some pretty fundamental trends. The need for lighter, more fuel-efficient vehicles, the rise of EVs and autonomous cars, and the increasing demand for advanced features and technologies.
And it's happening all over the world.
That's right. It's a global phenomenon. And what's really fascinating is that this seemingly simple component, a car window, is actually at the forefront of innovation.
It's true. We don't often think about car windows as being high-tech, but they're becoming increasingly sophisticated.
Absolutely. They're no longer just a piece of glass. They're a crucial part of the overall design, performance, and functionality of modern vehicles.
So the next time you get into your car, take a moment to appreciate those windows.
Yeah, you might be looking at the future of automotive technology.
And one final thought for our listeners. As we've seen, these advancements in polycarbonate glazing are being driven by the pursuit of lighter weight, greater strength, and enhanced functionality. How might these same trends influence other industries beyond just automotive?
That's a great question to ponder.
Think about it. Lighter, stronger, more efficient materials are in demand everywhere, from aerospace to construction to consumer electronics.
It's true. The innovations we're seeing in car windows today could very well pave the way for breakthroughs in countless other fields.
So this is a story about much more than just cars. It's a story about the future of materials, science, and engineering.
And a story that's just beginning to unfold.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of automotive polycarbonate glazing.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time.
See you then.